Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Our lead story of the day is regarding the third set of classified documents that were found in Joe Biden's home on Thursday. And we also have the press briefing from Friday, of which we're going to try and see and find out if she acknowledges the fact that there was a third set of documents found at Joe Biden's home, because they didn't disclose the first set nor the second set, even though they knew about both at the same exact time during the press briefing last week on January 11th and the 12th. Folks, this one is wild. As always, support us by hitting that like and subscribe button, leaving us a short, sweet comment down below. It does yeoman's work in forcing the algorithm to send our videos out there to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. And double check, big double check, that YouTube did not, in fact, go into your profile without you knowing and change that bell notification to say personalized. It should say, folks, all notifications. So just double check that. They are prone to do some shady stuff, just like the Biden administration is. Support us and help us. Your help and support would be greatly appreciated. Well, we're going to start off here with the press briefing. Again, at this moment in time, the third set of classified documents has already been found. It was found the day before this during the evening. We're going to find out what the process was for all this stuff that's been taking place. We're going to find out if she knew. We're going to find out if it was the White House strategy all along to not notify the reporters nor the American public. Folks, I'm telling you, this one is off the charts. Without further ado, let's go ahead and look at this first reporter asking her about the process that's been taking place this entire time.
Yeah, Mary.
Aside from the special counsel, aside from this review, I just have a question about process and classified documents and their handling, because I think there's some confusion amongst the public and even in this room. What is the process to make sure that classified documents aren't accidentally or intentionally taken when a president or vice president leaves office? What's the protocol, or is this sort of just a self-review system?
It's a good question. I would, on the process and how that works, I would certainly refer you to the White House counsel's office. They would know that. They can walk you through that. My colleagues there, and I know many of you have been in touch with my colleagues in the last 24 hours, in direct touch, and answering many of your questions. So I would refer you to them on the specific process, so that they will certainly guide you in the right way.
Folks, hold on a moment here. We just spent 2 days before this, a Wednesday and a Thursday, listening to you say you're the most transparent administration ever. You're always saying at every press briefing, let's be clear, let me be clear about this or that. You've been talking about this process, I'm going to put in air quotes, process, for literally an entire week. Nobody, including myself, nobody in that room knows what you are talking about. Phil Wegman gave it a nice little opportunity and a jab on January 12th, Thursday of last week, the day before this took place, to ask you, hey, what is the process? What in the process is stopping the president to see what these classified documents are, since he is the president of the United States? And her answer again was, the process is the process. So now we're here on Friday. Everybody's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. What is the process for all this? And her answer is, well, I'm going to refer you to somebody else. So you don't know what the process is, but you're going to tell everybody else that we're following a process? How do you know that you're actually following the process if you don't know what it is? In the same way, just on January 11th, she was answering a question about the documents and what they said, and she goes, well, I haven't actually talked to the president about what's inside the documents because he said he didn't know, so why should I ask him in the first place? Which, there's sound logic there, but why don't you take that sound logic to what we're talking about here in terms of the process? Your head's spinning right now, probably. What the hell? That's how I feel.
But as far as you know, is it ever okay for classified documents to be mixed with personal evidence?
What I can say, what I can say is what the president has said before, what I have said multiple times. We take this very seriously. The president takes classified information, classified documents very seriously. But look, I've said this before. We have addressed this issue multiple times at length. And we have been fully cooperating with the Department of Justice, and now we will be doing the same with the Special Counsel's Office, just to be prudent here and just to make sure that we are consistent. I would refer you anything that is related to this, as it relates to the review, to the Department of Justice or my colleagues at the White House Counsel Office. And we see it as the best way to move forward. We want to respect the process, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to refer you to the Department of Justice.
Just to be clear, you're confident he followed whatever protocol was in place?
Again, this is something that he takes very seriously. the president when it comes to classified documents, when it comes to classified information. I'm not going to go into any specifics from here. If you have any questions, anything further that's related to the review, or I refer you to the Department of Justice or my colleagues over at the White House Counsel's Office, who I know many of you who I'm staring at right now has been in close touch. Good.
Hold on. She can't actually say whether she's confident that the president followed the process, but every other word out of her mouth is about the process. But then when she's asked about it, she just talks about the process again, but not actually giving details about the process. And you heard her just say right there, I'm not going to be specific about anything. What? Like, what? This is what we've been dealing with all freaking year. We've been dealing with this lady, and now you got this huge bombshell of a story. And to be quite honest, folks, it's not even that big of a deal that there was classified documents in terms of being left in Joe Biden's garage, unless they were like nuclear codes or something crazy. I mean, it was the same thing with Trump, right? If we're going to have that linear logic here, Trump had classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, all right? And we don't know what they said. Still to this day, actually, we have no idea. Nobody knows what actually was inside those classified documents. But we've been told it wasn't necessarily like nuclear things or anything like super crazy, right? So it's probably the same thing here. It probably wasn't anything super crazy. The whole reason why we're blowing this story out of proportion is it has the possibility of being crazy because Joe Biden's in bed with the Chinese. I mean, Hunter Biden, we know for sure, has business dealings all across the world. So what's inside those? And then could Hunter Biden or some sort of foreign operative that's connected to Hunter Biden, the Biden family, been able to see those documents and what documents were actually stolen that we don't know about and were sent somewhere else? So all this stuff could happen. It's all conspiracy theory. It's all conjecture, right? We don't really know. But it's a big story nonetheless. And the fact we're blowing it up is because they blew it up on Trump, right? They raided Trump Mar-a-Lago, FBI raid, all those other things. And furthermore, they held it from all of us. And they continue to lie about it from all of us and the press. Not just once, not just twice, but now 3 times. Again, this press briefing that we are watching, the night before, a third set was found. And we're trying to find out if she's going to acknowledge it. The press, technically, folks, the press might not know about it because as far as I know, it was released the day after to everybody else on Saturday that they found the documents. At least that's what Fox News was reporting. So we got another reporter here following up on this whole shenanigans of the process, the classified documents. We'll see if she actually answers the question. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Karine, thank you so much. Does the White House and does the president agree to fully cooperate with the special counsel investigation?
We have said that we are going to continue to fully cooperate. We have been. The president's lawyers and team has been fully cooperating with the Department of Justice, and they're certainly going to do that with the special counsel.
And so, by that reasoning, would the president agree to sit for an on-the-record, in-person interview?
I'm not going to get into specifics or get ahead of what's going to happen. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals because that is a hypothetical. What I will say is we have addressed this multiple times at length, and we are going to continue. The president's team is going to continue to fully cooperate with the Department of Justice, and we respect that process, and that's what we're going to do.
The president has said he hopes to speak about this soon. When can people expect to hear from him about this?
Don't have, again, that is something that I can't. I don't have a magic wand here. I don't know when that's going to happen. What I can say is his team is going to fully cooperate with the Department of Justice. Let's not forget, the president said during the campaign that when it comes to the Department of Justice independence, he respects that. And that is something that he had said was incredibly important to make sure that they had their independence. That's why we say
you got to love when things try to like somewhat work in her favor. She's going to talk about the campaign. But the fact that Joe Biden talked about during the campaign multiple times that he wanted to get rid of the fossil fuel industry. And when gas prices shot through the roof, they blamed it on Putin's price hike, but not the fact that he said he wants to remove fossil fuels from basically all of America. You know, she's not going to talk about that or utilize that or even speak about that. But when it works in her favor, folks, we're going to go back to the campaign and talk about what Joe Biden said and the promises that he made. Furthermore, he also made promises during the campaign to be transparent. But they're not. And she's going to say, well, we talked about this at length. You haven't talked about crap at length. That's why you're getting so many questions about it. Nobody knows what's going on because you're being tight-lipped about all of it, Karine, which you said you're going to be. Which you said you're not going to tell anybody anything. But hey, they're going to be clear and, at length about everything.
We're going to make sure that they have their independence, and that's why I'm saying that we're going to refer to Department of Justice.
And let me just ask you a big picture question here. Does the White House, broadly speaking, have an obligation to share not just with the National Archives, but with the American people when the existence of classified information is found in a private location?
Again, there is a process in this.
But just big picture, not necessarily in this instance, but is it the policy of the White House that they should share that information not just with the National Archives, but with the American people?
So I'll say this, Kristen. We have been transparent in the last couple of days. Remember, there's an ongoing process, and we have spoken when it is appropriate. And we have...
You guys, there was a third set of documents found the day before this happened. So they lied about and didn't tell anybody November 4th from all the way till January 11th about the first set of documents. Then from December 20th all the way till, heck, I don't know, January 11th about the second set of documents. And didn't even tell us January 11th about the second set of documents. We found out about them on January 12th, a day after the press briefing of which she was asked for an opportunity to say, was there any other documents out there? And then on January 12th, Philip Wegman asks, in a nutshell, a roundabout way of, are there any other documents? Was there any other documents that maybe somebody could have stopped by on another trip in between some other trips that some documents could have been found or whatever it may be? And she didn't answer the question there either. She talked about some sort of cockamamie process. So now we're here. There's an opportunity that she actually might be knowing about a third set of documents, but not disclosing it all. But then she's going to say that they're being transparent. And she was given a layup of a question. Hey, do the American public or the American people have a right to know? Yes, they do. They do. But they didn't. And now she's lying again. How many times? Fool me once, right? Fool me once, fool me twice, all those things.
Shared, again, I've been here almost every day, not every day, but from Wednesday, yesterday, and today, taking your questions on this. The White House counsel has put out a very extensive multiple statements on this as well. And you all, I know you all have been talking, many of you here have been talking to my colleague in the White House counsel. So what the actions that we took were right actions that his team took in dealing with the Department of Justice and also the archives.
But
look,
you guys have answered questions when the press has broken and the news.
Because it's an ongoing process.
You go, girl. You go. Man, I almost feel like Jackie Heinrich's in the building right now, even though she has this Kristen, but god damn, good job. Following up, piecing it together for her, because we all know how Karine works. She's not all here, just like her boss. I'm loving these hardball questions, folks. She's finally, look, you got to give credit to the press, you guys. We got a lot of Republicans and conservatives on that Watch the Ball Brad show that still aren't for the press. You guys, there's a lot of people in that room that do a great job just because we're so used to what happened under the Trump administration. Not all these people are the same people. They're working to get their questions answered, to get our questions answered. They're trying to do their job. I mean, how clear can you be? They're trying, folks. They're trying.
Yes, because again, it is an ongoing process. There is a process here. The Department of Justice is independent. We respect that process. But again, I have taken questions. I can take two questions to 100 questions. I have answered your questions as almost every day on this issue. And again, anything else that you may have, anything that's related to the review, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
One last question, because I know you've got to move on here. But the president campaigned on the argument that he would restore confidence. We know that he's in the process of deciding whether to officially announce he's running for re-election. Does this episode undercut that argument, that he would restore confidence? Because here we have in the headlines that he is now under investigation.
He's restored independence in the Department of Justice. That's what we're doing here. When we're saying we're going to refer you to the Department of Justice, that is restoring independence as it relates to issues like this. And that is important to the president. And it's been consistent. What I am saying about investigations has been consistent for the last 2 years. You've heard me over and over again, when it comes to a legal issue or a matter like this, we have always referred to the Department of Justice. So there's nothing here different here. We have said we wanted to restore the independence of the Department of Justice. That is what you're seeing. And again, this has been done in a transparent way when it relates to how this was dealt with the Department of Justice and the archives. The president takes this very, very seriously. any other questions that you may have about this particular issue, about the review, I would refer you to the Department of Justice. You guys have been in touch with my colleagues at the White House Counsel Office, and I would suggest that you continue to reach out. Go ahead, Steve.
It's pretty remarkable if she's going to talk about competence with Joe Biden, you guys. We've all seen the guy. He can't read off a cue card. He can't read from a teleprompter. There's still Democrats out there that think it has to do with a stuttering problem, which it doesn't. The guy didn't have a problem 8 years ago stuttering, and all of a sudden he does now. So it's his dementia. He's not competent. He's not even competent on getting to the Oval Office. We all seen the clip of the Secret Service guiding the guy, and he still couldn't do it. You're telling me this guy's competent? He leaves classified documents in his garage, and he actually gets not a big deal. I said, well, everyone does it. Everyone leaves classified documents in their garage, you know? And then she's going to say that they're transparent and correlate him being competent with restoring the Justice Department that went after freaking every other conservative out there that you could probably possibly name, one of them being Donald Trump, literally using the Justice Department for the last 6 years to go after the man. Don't give me all this stuff, but you're restoring justice and all these things. And by the way, the question was about basically competence with the American people. How can we trust the guy? How can we trust you, Karine, when you're telling us that you're being transparent right now, when in actuality you aren't? And by the way, again, I know I'm repeating myself. At this moment in time, you guys, the third set of documents have been found. And she's saying she's being transparent without telling you the fact that the third set of documents have been found. So she's going to continue the charade. It's all strategy, you guys. It is all a strategy, but she's going to say it's not because we have that very same question right here from a reporter asking her about, is it just a strategy or what? Let's see what she has to say.
Thanks. I just want to press you on that point about the idea of disclosures when it's appropriate. You describe a process, but it sort of feels like a strategy, a communication strategy to protect the president from political damage. Was it the hope and expectation here that this would have remained a private matter and not have been subject to public disclosure?
Look, Stephen, that's your version of the case. I've been very clear here, and I've answered that question multiple times in different versions, right, in the last couple of days. Look, want to be very clear. There's a process here. We are going to respect the process. This is all part of the Department of Justice process, and we are cooperating fully. We are cooperating fully in this process. And again, the president believes that the Justice Department and its independence needed to be restored. That's what you have seen under this administration the last 2 years. And I want to be consistent in what I'm saying. I want to be prudent in what I'm saying when I say that we are going to defer any questions related to this to the Department of Justice and any other items that you have. If you don't want to talk to the Department of Justice, you're free to talk to the White House Counsel Office. I know you guys have been in touch with my colleagues there.
We have done both.
What the hell? What the hell? What a long, drawn-out answer. The question was basically, in a nutshell, was, is this a strategy? Are you trying to protect the president from whatever it may? I mean, everything. Again, if you notice, she mentions the process, but doesn't actually talk about what the process was because she doesn't have a clue, which is what we just saw in the first few segments. She doesn't know what the process is. She doesn't know what's going on. But let's kick the can down the road. You can ask this person, you can ask this person, you can talk to that person, you can talk to that person, and then we'll just keep kicking the can down the road. We're gonna make a diversified answer for all of you, depending on who you talk to. If you talk to the council, if you talk to the DOJ, if you talk to the guy that's actually doing the investigation, whether you talk to me, you talk to President Biden, whoever you talk to, you'll make sure you get your answers there. But we're gonna make sure it doesn't go on television here for all you to see, which she is later in our last segment. Wait till you get to that one when asked, hey, why don't we get these people on the actual podium there to answer all of our questions? We'll have to wait for that one.
But let me just ask you, because oftentimes in the careers of White House press secretaries, there comes a time where they are asked, what they knew and when they knew it. Were you or any member of your staff involved in the crafting of a strategy as to when this disclosure should be made in advance of CBS News breaking the story on Monday evening?
No. Go ahead.
Folks, there could be that she might not be lying technically based on the wording, and that's what she does this all the time, you guys. She could have known. He said based on the strategy. She already said it wasn't a strategy. So technically in her mind, she could be thinking that she's actually telling the truth here of it wasn't a strategy whatsoever. It wasn't a strategy. So she just outright said no. First of all, she could have known about it. She could have known about the second set of documents on the 12th and didn't reveal it to anybody. She could know about the third set as well and still not telling anybody about it. Or she just didn't know altogether, and that was part of the strategy of the White House in the first place, of which she's still going to say no because it doesn't apply to her. So there's such a cluster bleep that it's head spinning, you guys. And I'm telling you, for her to say no, technically she could not be lying. Technically she could. Let me know what you think about that one in the comments below. Do you think she's lying right there? Do you think that her or her staff knew about any set of the documents without telling the press the day of when she knew? Let me know in the comments below. I think it is really important. So we're going to go on to our last segment here with a question from a reporter that we don't cover too much. And she asks basically like, hey, there's this process. You're saying you're being transparent. All this stuff is going on. Why not bring the people that have the answers to our questions up here on the podium? Let's see how she answers it.
Folks haven't called her.
I called her early. Go ahead, Karen. You've several times today referred people to the White House counsel for questions about the process and the review. Would you bring Richard Sauber here or someone from his team to answer these questions in the briefing room in a formal capacity?
So look, the White House counsel's office has provided information on this this week as appropriate. Again, I think I just said this, I've said this multiple times during this briefing, that I know in the last 24 hours, my colleagues at the White House Counsel White House Counsel's office has been in touch with many of you and has answered a lot of your questions. And so that will continue. You reach out to them and they will certainly engage. And so I'm going to leave it there. But again, anything that is related to this review, I would send you to Department of Justice. Again, if there is something specific to this that you want from us, I would refer you to the White House Counsel office.
And is the White House concerned that this investigation is going to overshadow what you are trying to do right now, what your message is right now?
Look, our message is very clear, and it will continue to be just that. And you've seen it. That's why when I started the briefing, I laid out all of the kind of progress that we have made just this week alone. When you think about the Inflation Reduction Act, when you think about how it's going to lower cost for American families, when you think about the bipartisan infrastructure legislation.
I can't do it anymore. I can't listen to her anymore. She's still going to push this Inflation Reduction Act. She's going to say she's clear. She's going to say their messaging clear. She's going to say they're transparent. We all know it's bogus. We all know it's a lie. They're going to continue lying until she's done with her job. Maybe they get somebody in there that can actually answer people's questions and actually be clear. She keeps saying that she's talking to them at length about the same questions over and over again. If it was so clear, if it was so transparent, you wouldn't get the same question over and over again, you idiot, Karine. Do you not understand how that works? But, she clearly doesn't get it. And it's amazing that they're not going to bring the people that actually have the answers to their questions on the podium to get them asked. What are you trying to hide? Again, it was a question that was asked the other day by who? Peter Doocy, of which she didn't take a single question, by the way, from Peter Doocy during this press briefing. It makes you wonder because clearly Fox broke the story about the third set of documents. So Peter might have known about it during this briefing. She's dodging it because maybe she doesn't want to get in trouble, or maybe, she clearly didn't know. Who really knows? But I find it odd. One of the biggest media outlets out there, she's going to take questions from everybody else in the front row, but she's not going to take questions from Peter Doocy, the guy at Fox News that completely destroys her all the time. Nobody finds that a little bit weird. Not a single person. But hey, like I know I'm repeating myself, she's acting like they're going to be clear. Let me know what you think about all this, folks. The saga continues. Could there be a fourth set of documents that we don't know about? And we say this after every episode. This is like the third or fourth episode we've said this question. Is there going to be another one? Is it possible? Do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think this is all about, folks? Do you think this is a nothing burger? And it very well could be. It very well could be. Like I said, we're just bringing this out because they did this to Trump. So now we're going to bring it right back at them. We're going to throw it all in their faces, and we're going to continue as long as there's documents, and we'll hopefully find out what the hell's in them, but who knows? That's probably not going to happen. But let me know, again, what you think about all this, folks. Is it a nothing burger? Is it a huge story? Does Hunter Biden have access to these? Because we don't know. We don't know. But I look forward to reading all your responses down below, folks, and we will be back tomorrow here on The Paul Brad Show.